Oh, welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as what was the thing you wanted to talk about? Your phone.
My phone.
Broken phones and Lucky Charms. I am one of your hosts, the Alpha Donut Guy, Brenton Beswick, alongside my co-host, Gregory T. Filson III, Masters champion. Greg, how are you on this fine winter's morn?
Winter's morn. Okay. I'm okay. It's been just kind of a normal day. Catching up, getting ready for the 80s podcast. So listening to a lot of 80s music today. Just bringing that list together. It's tough. I really like the 80s. We'll obviously get into that when we get into the pod, but much tougher than expected. Definitely tougher than the 90s in the sense of I just really, really like the song. So working on that list, watching some baseball, reading some books, a couple weeks now into the summer thing for me. It's been good. How about you, Brenton? How are you?
Well, I tore my knee up potentially.
Yes,
I don't think there's any structural damage. It just hurts playing basketball, and a couple other players kind of just going for a loose ball and collided and kind of ran into the side of my leg, and it buckled, and then it rolled up on my ankle. So it hurts.
The people you play with, what is the age demographic?
Oh, John Kish, our friend of the program.
Okay, John plays.
Is the oldest person, and then I am the second oldest person. And the reality of it is, the two of us probably bring up the average age quite a bit. I mean, a lot of these are like 20-year-olds and high school kids. So yeah.
And where do you play at?
It's just like a church. Well, actually, you probably know it. The Calvary Baptist Church.
Oh yeah, I've played basketball
on Route 19. Yeah.
Yeah, I've played basketball there. I've haunted many of those church league grounds in my day. I used to play so much basketball, because I knew people from Mercer, I knew people from Commodore Perry, I knew people from obviously where I went to school at Lakeview. So I went and played a lot of basketball with people I didn't know at all. It was fun. It's good. I like playing on those church. I don't know. The rims are always nicer at the church ground.
This is like a real full gym. Nice. With an actual floor and stuff. Because usually you play at churches, it's like carpet, you know what I mean? But
easier on the knees, that carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I would say that the Heavenly Father was probably not very happy with my verbal response to the injury.
No, I mean, the Heavenly Father really doesn't care about that stuff. I mean, he's more concerned about other things. So, you playing basketball, if he's paying attention to that, he's got other stuff going on. But
he's not paying attention to that stuff either.
Yeah. Well, he is.
Never mind.
He is. He just,
yeah.
Other people get involved and think they know more than he does. If you're into that. I do miss play. I've been playing tennis. Got a little just whatever scramble thing going on earlier this week. Found out there's somebody around where I live that actually plays pretty regularly. So I'm looking forward to actually playing with someone a little more consistently. We played for a good hour the other day. A lot of just sprinting around. Sometimes you feel when you just volley around, you sprint more than if you're actually playing a real game.
Yeah, because you're not trying to win. You're just trying.
Yeah, you're just kind of messing around,
getting a workout in.
Yeah, which was good. I am looking forward to actually playing some real stuff. I mean, work on my service game, work on my my two-handed backhand. My one-handed backhand's fine. It's fine. It gives enough spin, but working on the two-hand. Not to turn this into any a tennis thing, but I do watch a lot of tennis videos on Instagram. That's basically my feed now. So it's Instagram. It's tennis videos and pizza videos, and that's where I'm at. And it's nicer now because I am watching them on iPhone 13 Pro Max, not by my choice.
Because
sort of by my choice because I decided to get a phone that was really good. But so this previous Saturday, so 6 days from when this podcast came out, I went for a run and my phone was acting weird during my run. And I was like, I didn't think anything of it. And I mean, I've been running with the armband thing, whatever, because I'm not an Apple Watch because they are ugly looking watches. And I like to be aesthetically pleasing as much as possible when it comes to those kind of things. It's like make a cool looking watch that still tracks all that stuff. And anyhow, so I come back. I don't think much of it. I thought it was just like I have one of those protective screens that you put over your phone. So I thought it was just that thing. So I readjusted that after, and I came back downstairs. And I was like, oh, my screen's really weird. And then we went out, like just kind of cruising around Santa Barbara, and my phone just kept getting worse and worse. And so I'm like, why? And so I decided, like, I'll order a new phone off of AT&T, which is my service provider. And that'll be covered, whatever. I literally thought nothing of it. And so I ordered the newest iPhone, the best one. I was just like, I haven't had the best phone in a really long time. I used to just always get the best phone. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to have any problems with music. So I'll order the best one and nothing of it. It's a monthly plan thing. If you do it that way, I was going to get $700 or whatever for the phone I had previously, an iPhone 11. So it keeps getting worse. And then we're actually at a place and my phone's just black and I can't see anything. So I'm like, I think I actually need to go to the Apple store. And I think that's going to be a disaster. And I had recently just went past the Apple store like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I hope I never have to go in there. And so I set my fate. And we go in there. It's actually like at first it was pretty quick. They're like, okay, we need to look at this. It doesn't seem that bad. Like it's probably just the batteries being weird or whatever. They didn't think it was water damage or anything. They're being very chill about it. And I'm like, okay. So I was feeling pretty chill. So they're like, give us a half hour, we'll work this out and you get your new phone or you can figure out what you want to do. So they come back to me and they're like, and the guy's like, so I have some bad news. Doesn't even give me the good news, bad news thing, which I like that. I appreciate that. I just give me the bad news. Just hit me with it. Just punch me in the jaw. Let me see what happens. He's like, so there's water damage. I was like, I literally have no idea like how that happened.
I can tell you how it happened. Because you came in with a repairable phone and they went back and held it in the sink.
Maybe. I mean, it was still pretty bad though. Like, I mean, there was definitely something wrong there. My guess, this is my best guess on what had happened, is some sweat maybe got in. And it's just one of those weird things, even though I've had iPhones since 2007. I got one after my second paycheck at the Record Artist because I just wanted one. And I've been an iPhone user. I've never had any problems. It's been really easy. I've always just ordered mine online. I never go into the store. So this is the first time I had to go in the store. And look, they don't really, I mean, they get commission either way. That's kind of the funny thing about that. But anyhow, so they say you either can have this repaired for like a certain amount and then you can do a trade-in, or you can just pay full price. And I weighed the cost, and literally paying for it and then doing a trade-in was going to be the exact same price. So I'll just pay for it now and not do the other stuff, whatever. I mean, so the phone is not cheap. You can just look that up online. I don't need to go out there if you're paying full price for the phone. So I get the phone. I think everything's settled. And I was mad, but I wasn't super upset, except that they wanted to just do it themselves and not let me do it. And I've never had any problems transitioning from one phone to the other.
Yeah.
But they try doing it. And I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. Because I'm smarter than most people that work at Apple, like at the Apple stores. I'm not saying I'm smarter than the people that create all the apps and all this stuff, but at the Apple stores, I've been doing this since literally these kids were probably like 4, and I have no problems with it. So the girl keeps messing around with it. And I tell her at one point, I was like, I don't think you're doing the right thing. She goes, no, this is how you do it. And then she comes up to me and she goes, so you're going to need to go to the AT&T store. And I was like, well, I've never had to do this. I tell her, I go, I've never had to go to a store. And she goes, well, we can't do this right now. It's like, and I said something, I don't remember. I was very nice. I was very nice to her initially, but then she kept saying that what I was doing was wrong. And I was like, well, I've had this since 2007. So whatever I've been doing has been correct. So I think what you have been doing is wrong. And we'll see what happens. I've never had any problems ever. I love iPhones. I'm an iPhone stan. I once tried out an Android phone and I just did not like it. It just wasn't for me. So I go to the Apple store, or I go to the AT&T store, and I'm now pissed because now I'm doing stuff. And the guy comes in there. I come in and the guy's like, oh, it's after 6. So like the service we use stops at 6. And I look at him, I go, then why are you open?
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be open past 6. If it's closed at 6, you shouldn't be open past 6.
Right.
And I go, and I try not to drop F-bombs because I worked in retail,
Yeah.
but I am like fuming. This is 3.5 hours of me like dealing with stuff. And I am fuming. I was like, well, this is fucking ridiculous. I just like say it. I even say like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. And I walk out. So he's like, come back tomorrow as I'm walking out. So I come back at 10 o'clock in the morning when they open. And the guy that is there, he's there by himself because other people came in late. Adam, shout out to Adam at the Apples or at the AT&T store in Santa Barbara on La Cumbra. Just want to shout him out. If he's a listener, maybe he is. I don't know. Seems like a cool dude. Very cool dude. He's like, he was by himself at first. He's like, you have to wait a little bit. He's like, what's your problem? And he tells me, or I tell him my problem. He's like, oh, this will be a simple fix. So I wait around. It takes me like, I don't know, 20 minutes to wait. I didn't feel bad. I mean, like, the guy's by himself. I worked in retail by myself or with a limited crew, and it's tough. Not mad at him. The guy's trying his hardest. And he comes over and he's like, oh, you just need a new SIM card. And so he gets the SIM card out. And he like tosses the one that Apple gave me. He's like, this is junk. Just get rid of that. And I don't question it. And I was like, well, I ordered a phone. Can you cancel that for me? He's like, sure, we'll do that. And he doesn't. And then they wouldn't let him do it. And he gets mad. And he starts swearing at the computer. So I respect this guy even more because he's like swearing in front of me. So I'm like, this guy's cool. And then he literally just replaces the SIM card. And in 10 minutes, I'm ready to go. And I was like, and it had nothing to do with the thing that the other guy did. The other guy just didn't want to do it the day before. I figured it out. So it was just like, he just didn't want to do it. Adam, who was ready to go, rock and roll. And I won't shout out the guy that didn't want to do it because that guy was just, he looked like he was scared of everything. He looked like a guy that was scared of his own shadow. But I will say everything is fine now. Phones I still got to recreate all my passwords because those didn't carry over, which I think is fine because I probably need to create new passwords anyhow. But if you see that the views are a little wider, if I'm talking a little clearer, the volume is really better on my phone, a lot better. I notice it when I'm playing. My car does not have a Bluetooth setup, so I have to do the thing where you plug it into the cigarette lighter.
What?
It's 2009 Volvo.
Oh,
so you plug in the cigarette lighter thing, and then it plays through that. It's a nice car, and it's clear through that. So a lot of things are just better with this phone. It was an expensive phone, but I will definitely have it for a while. I used to be a 2-year every 2 years. I'd switch my phone out and all that stuff, but because you get a good value in your return. But I will say, I just wanted to shout out Adam. They still sent me my phone even though I canceled the order, so I got to take that back. I think it'll be fine. I think I'm just going to go back Sunday where I know Adam's working, and then he'll just do it for me. I'll be like, Adam, remember me from last week? But that's,
and then you'll say, listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I will. I'll tell him.
You should.
I'll tell him I shout him out on the podcast, and he'll be like, cool.
And then
I'm a manager. Yeah. So that's my story for the week. It's not that exciting, but it is also just one of those things where like I hope now forever that I can just always do this stuff at home because I've never had any problems. And the second I let somebody else do it, if I have a 22-year-old person at the Apple store try to do it, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane to let somebody else do anything like that.
I had a similar situation when we had our internet through Verizon, and they discontinued the type of service that we had, but they allowed us to continue that type of service. But as new employees would be continued to be trained, they wouldn't be trained on that type of service because it was discontinued. And I had to call pretty much every other month to get certain things like taken care of with the bill and stuff like that. But it became such a thing that I ended up by the time we ended up switching, I was able to explain to the people exactly what they needed to do to make my problem go away. I would call it and I would say, hey, this is the issue I'm having. So what you're going to need to do on your end is understand that this is a closed loop internet because we have no phone, no home phone. So what I'm going to need you to do now, and I basically troubleshot myself through the thing just by talking to them. Yes. And I like, I'm well aware of the fact that I can come off as being a bit pretentious at times, but these are the reasons why.
Well,
You know
I
what
I
I
live
mean?
my life off pretension, Brenton, and it's like, unfortunately, not a lot of people we know have ever been at Chaucer's books. And like, when you work at a bookstore and you're pretty
Yeah.
well read, but you're also well read in books that are like nonfiction and for like nerds like I am. I
Yeah.
mean, it's, it's one of those things where like, so everything you talk about is kind of nerdy. Or so if you read nerd nonfiction, you're obviously reading nerdier fiction.
Yeah.
And I understand that level of pretension and what it means. And like, but I also don't care because like, I also, if you're, this is my thing with all of this stuff. The job market is wild. And I understand you're trying to just work at a place you can work at, but you also have to go into this job like I did at Chaucer's, or like I've done at the pizzeria, or what I did working at newspapers, where that is still your job. And you do have to take it with like the idea that I still have to put up with kind of some stuff that isn't awesome. And you can get mad about it, but that's why you have coworkers to bullshit to. So if you're working at Verizon and someone like you is like explaining things to them or whatever,
Yeah.
just let you do it.
Yeah.
And then on your break, be like, this fucking guy,
Right.
you know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Like, and we've all done that. We've all done that. And so that's where I'm at. And like the guy that I like, I didn't really flip out. I just said like, this is fucking ridiculous. It's not a big deal. If he went home and like told his, girlfriend that, it's like this guy came in and was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And it was like, what had happened? He's like, well, I just didn't really want to do it. Like, hopefully he just fully admitted to his girlfriend. He's like, yeah, it was 6:15 and we closed at 7 and I just didn't want to spend 15 minutes doing this.
Well,
I wish he would have
there's
said
a
that.
reason why every ice cream machine in America in a McDonald's is broken. You know what I mean? Because people don't want to clean it.
No, it goes beyond that. Watch the CBS Sunday morning thing on this. I'm 100% serious. It's like intense. Everybody out there, and I'll link this when we put this out. It's like 10 minutes. It's not even. It's probably 100%. It's CBS Sunday morning. Look up CBS Sunday morning McDonald's ice cream machine. It's from like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's crazy good. Usually CBS Sunday morning is not like investigative journalism. Janie and I were losing our minds about how amazing this was. It was so good.
Was Jeff Bridges involved?
No.
Okay.
He was on that episode.
Okay.
He was on that episode.
Fix for the McDonald's soft
machine. It's amazing. I cannot recommend this enough.
It's 6 minutes long.
Yep.
And
I cannot recommend it enough to people. Check it out.
You say you're in the mood for a little ice cream.
It's so good.
How serious they take this. Maybe.
And it's wait till you watch it, Brenton. It is amazing.
There's 3 guys at the same time. It's broken at the moment. Can I get you something? We're not serving ice cream right now. It's broken at the moment. Can I get you something else?
It really gets into the
ice cream. Oh, it's like
it's a whole conspiracy. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Sea urchin ceviche.
I will I will watch this and I will report back. How about that?
Good.
Sounds good. We're not going to take up the time of me watching it right now.
No. But we should discuss it.
Yeah. That's part of pop culture, right?
Hell yeah.
How many times do you think you've been told, well, you're not like an ice cream guy? And if I'm,
I'll be honest, I'm an ice cream guy.
If I'm getting
ice cream, the only person that likes ice cream more than me is you. I know. If
I'm getting ice cream, like
I have ice cream every day.
McDonald's is not. You do not have ice cream every day.
I have ice cream every single. I literally have a spoonful of ice cream every single day.
That's not having ice cream.
That's still having. Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. No, it's not. It is. No, if you're gonna,
well, I gotta say, no. Fit
listen,
and trim, right?
Listen, if you're gonna have ice cream every day of your life, then you need to have it on my level, or you don't get to say that.
That's what I said though. Like, you are the only person I know that likes ice cream more than me, more than I.
Yeah, that's not having ice cream every day. I'm just here as the ice cream guy. I'm here to
Alpha Donut guy. Alpha
Well,
bad
it
guy.
maybe just the alphabet.
Do you ever
guy.
put ice cream on top of your donut?
No, that's weird. Who would do that?
What about like a hot donut and then you put your ice cream on top? That'd be delicious. Why wouldn't you do
Maybe.
that? Like that.
I forget where I
apple
was
pie.
where I was going with this.
Oh, you're just talking about ice cream, guys.
If you're if you're getting ice cream and your go-to is McDonald's, like then
we have a problem.
Just fuck yourself.
I mean, the hot fudge sundae, I haven't had ice cream from McDonald's in a minute. I couldn't tell you. Hot fudge sundae, I do remember being pretty good as like a snack.
Yeah, but I would rather just go
for like it's like $1 though at McDonald's. That's the thing. Like I'm not trying to validate it, but
I get that. I get that, but I would rather just go buy a half gallon and make my own sundae.
Sure.
With it.
Do you do your own hot fudge?
Nah, I like whipped cream, chocolate sauce, and either M&M's or Reese's Pieces and a brownie.
I'm a hot fudge slut. I love a hot fudge. I love if I go to jail and for life or for the death penalty, hot fudge sundae, big style is on my menu.
Chances are you won't live long enough to be executed. And what I mean by that is because you'll just be on death row for 70 years, not getting executed.
Right.
Because that's what they do. Because that's like, I feel like, to me personally,
like, what?
I understand, and this is getting into the weeds, obviously, but
yeah,
I understand that there's like a time frame for appeals and stuff like that. But I feel as though if you are given the death penalty because you committed a heinous crime, that should take more than a year to resolve. Like, oh, you'd like to appeal? Okay, we will hear your appeal now. And you still did terrible things. So we're just going to go ahead and hook you up right now.
It's also not that hard. Like they make it seem like it's a whole thing. It's like they lethally inject you with something and then you're done.
You know what? Does it like the whole thing is like, well, we're going to do that because it's more humane. They're not going to care. They're going to be dead.
Right. It doesn't matter. I can't believe we really went off on this because I said the thing about the ice cream sundae, but
just bring back the gallows, public executions. The way they used to do it in olden times.
The way they used to do it.
Set an example.
You know,
they need to bring back duels also.
I will real quick, your final meal. Whether like
never ending possible.
No, but like it can't be, it has to be a thing where like it is gonna end. Like let's say this way, like you're just going out. Like you got terminal cancer, you got you're on.
I thought we were on death row.
No, I'm just saying either way. You just know you're going out.
Sure.
You know you're going out. What do you want to have?
Hibachi.
Like a final, what was it?
Hibachi.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And what is your hibachi order just for everyone out there? I know what your hibachi order is, but
steak, chicken, shrimp, double rice. I don't like the lo mein right now. I don't like it. It's been too garlicky lately. And then the soup and the salad. And if I'm going out, I might as well do it with some sake.
Well, you got to do it with some sake. For me, I would go with like a real nice steak, like nice porterhouse, big old boy. So you get everything going on there, nice bone in, over the flame, slightly darker than the black and blue style. I know that's, a little Pittsburgh style, or whatever you want to call that. Slightly more cooked than that.
Still mooing, I believe is what
still mooing. I still like that. Cooked in butter, a little rosemary in there. If we can do that, if I could have that done, that'd be great. Side of some duck fat fries, that would be delicious. Side of little duck fat fries, love that. A nice, a couple different dipping sauces, that would be great for me. I'm not a big dipper, but if I'm going out, since I'm going out, I probably would honestly since I'm going out, but I go Heinz just because I'm going out, because Heinz is still a really good ketchup. A nice fancy aioli.
Ketchup
Uh,
steak, you monster.
no, not a steak. This is for my French fries. I don't dip my steak.
I'm sorry, I blacked
My
out for a second.
no. My steaks are not dipped. And then a real nice burgundy, very nice burgundy. We're talking probably what?
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. A Burgundy vintage. My birth year, a 1985 Burgundy would be like nice. And then just a good Scotch. Like
I love Scotch.
I love Scotch. I'm going out Burgundy style. Just a real nice Scotch, half glass, whatever puts me out. Just so I'm just the idea is that bottle of wine that has half glass of Scotch. That's just going to put me in a nice mood, hook me up. I got the steak in me. I got the meat sweats. I got the fries, and my dessert. Ooh, it'd be tough, but I love just a nice chocolate cake. So if someone's mom in the prison, or if I'm not in prison, just someone wants to make me a nice chocolate cake, just a nice chocolate cake, double chocolate cake and icing, I'd be ready to go. It'd be a nice way to go.
I think execution, that's how I want to go out. Should be less humane. As inhumane as possible.
Well,
beheadings, drawn and quartered. Let's do this. Set an example. Hey, don't kill people. Don't be a murder rapist, because if we catch you, we're going to draw and quarter you.
What about the people that are falsely accused and we find out like 25 years later?
Fuck them. Wrong place, wrong time. You made the decisions. You made the decisions to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Seemingly unimportant decisions, kids. So now that we've determined that we should be having public executions that are less humane, maybe we just talk about comic book movies.
Yeah, we should.
Probably a fair endeavor. In an effort to better understand the source of her powers and the secret of her bangle, Kamala travels to the only person who might have answers, her grandmother. On this adventure in a new city where she does not quite fit in, Kamala crosses paths with a mysterious stranger who takes her on an unexpected adventure. She will discover that her family history is more complicated than she thought. Miss Marvel, episode 4, The Red Daggers, or Seeing Red.
So I did the same thing. I did the same thing we did last week, where I just set my phone down and was like, I got to watch this. This episode did not work the same as the last episode for me. It was, once again, the biggest problem with this show, it's too long. It just is. It's just too long. It needs to be 33 minutes instead of 47.
Yeah.
And
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Which would mean that it would be a 29-minute episode, with everything else, because they just put so much other stuff into it. I don't think really matters. And that's a problem for me. I mean, this is always my problem when we talk about movies or anything, where I'm like, we can cut this out. And then, obviously a movie has to be a certain length of time. I mean, a movie usually has to be at least an hour and 30 minutes because you're paying money to go see it or whatever. But for something like this, it's like, I don't think we needed that. And all the extra stuff in there just made this episode seem very long. I don't feel like there was any real character building. Like, she becomes part of the Red Daggers, but then does it really matter? And there was like the flashback scene of like what she went through. And I don't know. It's just, this show doesn't work for me. And I think it's a lot of has to do with like what we just came off of with Marvel. And so I think that's the problem, is like, it's not because it's too young for us, Brenton. I really don't think it's that. I just don't think they really knew what they were doing with this show. And it's kind of showing through, because like last week's episode was pretty solid, but this week's episode just seemed very disjointed and just didn't do a lot for me. I just didn't really like it, honestly.
I didn't enjoy this episode as much as last week's episode, but I didn't not enjoy it. I didn't not enjoy it. What am I, Dan Deerdorf? I thought it was fine. And it comes down to focusing a lot on the show. It is too long. It is too long. But I think my bigger problem is that the villains are so uninteresting.
True. Yeah.
And the issue is like you don't really know any of them. There's no character development on any of the villains aside from like the leader. And the rest of them just look like generic. Like the dude that looks like Adam Sandler, like he's
Yes.
terrible. Like
Yeah.
he's just walking around with a big, scepter or whatever and yelling at people, I get out of my way. It's just like, calm down, Happy Gilmore, and the big dude who they just all look like generic versions of somebody. Like that dude looks like generic Adam Sandler. The big guy looks like generic Dave Bautista. The African American girl looks like generic. I can't think of her name, but the one who plays the Dora Milaje that's in The Walking Dead. They just all look like generic versions of other people. And they're just so uninteresting. And that's what the problem is I was actually like genuinely happy that a couple of them got, because I was like, oh, cool. Right. Hopefully when this battle starts and these guys with the knives start throwing knives and killing these losers. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And I was totally fine with that. And, the ending where it would appear as though she gets like blasted back into time or something. Fine.
Right. I mean, that's what I felt. I was just like, honestly, this is what I said. I was like, oh, it's over now. Like, I was just happy we were just done with that episode. It's just like, this is.
Yeah, I thought that the chase scenes were compelling enough that it kind of propped up the rest of the episode, but the first half or so really dragged. I think that they're doing a good job of slowly showing her kind of starting to understand her powers and to be able to use them more effectively. Whereas with a lot of these characters, I think the best one is Iron Man, where it's just like, oh, I can fly now. It's like, yeah, I can fly. You know what I mean? Yeah, they just get it. Right.
Yeah.
Or like even Steve, after he gets like the serum, it's just all of a sudden he's super fast, super strong, whatever. There's like no learning curve. And I felt like they've done a good job of showing the learning curve for her. I really like her. I really like the character and how she plays Kamala. And overall, yeah, I didn't. This was a flat episode, but I don't think I disliked it as much as you did from the sounds of it.
Well, yeah, I like her. I will say I like her. I just don't like anyone else. And it's like one of those things where I think like I actually wish there was more of her and less of everyone else. And this thing is like I think she's like this level of like, I don't want to say like a weird way, but it's just like she's just cute. Like she doesn't know anything else.
Right.
She's and not. Like, that's cool. She's very naive in this sense, and not knowingly naive. Like she doesn't really know anything, and like so. It's called Ms. Marvel and she's Ms. Marvel, but like there's so much focus on like everyone else that isn't actually interesting. And it's like, let's get back to her. She's cool. What she has is like important, but then the show goes and has like a different segment where like she's not in it for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, I don't care at all. Like this literally, and you'll think back on it and be like, actually, that didn't matter. If you go on the other episodes and stuff like that too, it's weird. It's like, oh, none of that actually mattered. And so we have 2 more episodes, right? And so I still think it can round it out, make it a fine show.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that. Just this one didn't do anything for me. It was fine, but it's just the last episode was just very good, I thought. Was very good for this show.
As a show, when it's all said and done, I think that this lands no lower than a 6.5 and no higher than a 7.5. 100%. I think it's just in that wheelhouse. I think where the last episode really succeeded was there just wasn't a lot of superhero stuff. It was like a family comedy almost, because there was the whole wedding thing and the Bollywood dance and all that. And it's kind of like I feel like to a certain extent, as they continue to branch out as they continue to branch out and try new things, especially with these shows, that some of them are going to be misses and some of them are going to be hits. And I think that you saw with WandaVision, how they played the whole sitcom thing was a hit. I think that, Moon Knight, with just a straight, basically psycho thriller for the most part, was a hit. But some of the other things didn't work out as well. And I think that this is something where they're almost kind of portraying it to be like a family type comedy, but it's shoehorned into being a Marvel thing too. You know what I mean? It's the Shang-Chi thing. Oh, they took a perfectly good Kung Fu movie and made it a Marvel movie. And I think that that's where they're kind of getting into this, where they sprawl out in different directions and kind of try to incorporate other genres into this that aren't just superheroes, action figures running into each other. Some of it's going to be great. Some of it's going to be bad. And a lot of it probably just going to fall in the middle. And I think that that's where ultimately this is probably going to end up, where this is just something that it has its good moments that made it compelling. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of okay. Yeah.
And that's probably what they wanted, because they're also right before Thor.
Yeah. I mean, they're building toward the Marvels, and, she's going to be part of that and everything. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful, that it kind of rounds out here in these last two episodes. I feel like it will.
It will. Yeah. I 100% think it will too.
Yeah. And I think that it kind of just goes back to Hawkeye and shows that the reason why Hawkeye worked so well was because it felt like a phase 1 thing. You know what I mean? It was like, it was new, but it just felt nostalgic. Just the way it was shot and portrayed, and Clint and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but that's my take on.
I agree.
Miss Marvel.
Ms. Marvel.
Ring the bell, like, share, subscribe. So we'll move on to the card counter, a movie starring Oscar Isaac, Tiffany Haddish, Ty Sheridan, and Willem Dafoe. Redemption is the long game, and Paul Schrader's The Card Counter, told with Schrader's trademark cinematic intensity. The revenge thriller tells the story of an ex-military interrogator turned gambler haunted by the ghost of his past. The Card Counter. Greg.
So I went into this movie thinking I'm really going to like this because it's Oscar Isaac, and I like card movies, Rounders being probably the best of these movies.
Sure.
And, it starts out very card heavy. It does. And you feel like, oh, this is going to matter. And, there's the idea of him going through like the World Series of Poker and all these things. And then it kind of just goes away from that. And Ty Sheridan is brought in, and his character doesn't necessarily make sense.
He looked like Ty Sheridan's character, especially when he comes in and he's wearing like a cut-off Ford Mustang shirt. He just looks like he should be on like King of the Hill.
Yeah, it was a great TV show, but it's one of those weird things. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. But it lost a lot of steam after that. It becomes kind of like this military like background. What were you in? Abu Dhabi thing, and military torture kind of idea. And
Azerbaijan.
I never know how to say that. I'm sorry. And it's essentially it's a military torture kind of like background thing is what it comes down to. And so that's what Oscar Isaac was going through. And then Ty Sheridan's character, his dad, was part of this as well. And Willem Dafoe is kind of the villain in this movie, is the way to look at it. But it just doesn't work. It works in a way because Oscar Isaac is so good at acting.
Can I point something out?
Yeah.
You got, what's with the taco meat?
The taco meat?
Yeah.
It's hot in here. It's very warm in here.
Really, you need a gold chain, I think.
I do need a gold chain. That'd be sick.
And some verbose chest hair.
That'd be sick. I just cannot. I don't have any extra hair.
Just no hair to spare.
No hair to spare. Sorry for everyone out there. It's just very warm in here. But it's just one of those things where the movie has all the basics to make you think it's gonna be good, and then it just doesn't it just doesn't work its
Makes
way
sense. It doesn't make sense.
well, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work itself to a conclusion that works. And that is the problem with this
or a
movie
beginner,
is,
middle, or end.
well, I think the beginning is, I think like all the stuff that leads up to it. And then like once you get to the middle, it's just like, what is going on now? So that's for me where it's at.
I I think that this movie was a clusterfuck. I think
Sure.
that the only thing that made it watchable was Oscar Isaac. I thought that Tiffany Haddish, her character, she maybe overacted a little bit. The Ty Sheridan character, who he's probably most famous, so far as I know, for Ready Player One.
Right.
And like his character just was pointless. Like there was no, I'm going to set this kid on the right path and I'm going to give him all this money and then he's going to do the wrong thing anyway. And then to follow that up, I'm going to do the wrong thing. And
Right.
it's like, it's like the parts that I cared about, all the card playing, because they left this breadcrumb pointing towards, he's going to make a run at the World Series of Poker. He's going to take out this guy who, is supposedly Ukrainian and wears American stuff and chants USA. The movie's called The Card Counter. And it shows you him counting cards with blackjack, and it does the whole setup, right? This is how you count cards. This is +1. This is -1. You just have to count them and divide them by how many decks are still left, and that's what your score is. And that's how you count cards. And then it fucking plays blackjack again for the rest of the movie.
Right.
And so like all the stuff that I care about, which was the poker thing, because when you said, hey, let's watch this movie called The Card Counter, I was like, cool, I love rounders. And instead we got like Worm from Rounders meets the opening half hour of Zero Dark 30. And the whole thing was a complete and utter mess. I think that the only movie that we've watched since we started doing consistent movie reviews that this is better than is Cherry. I would say The Bubble is better than this, because at least it was stupid and it was bad, but at least it made sense. It had a consistent through line.
I mean, I still did not like The Bubble at all.
No, I didn't either, but it was better than this. And this is the thing is like, we were talking off screen about this being like Oscar bait. And it's like, well, the only Oscar that this
Oscar Isaac bait
is Oscar Isaac bait. But the only Oscar that this is going to bait outside of August is The Grouch.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, it was a movie built to have a good idea and just didn't know what to do with it. I think it really did. And it's like,
it was,
and that's what's sad to me.
This movie sucked.
Well, so would you give it, Brendan?
I gave Cherry a 3?
3, yeah.
3.5.
I give it a 4. And just because Oscar Isaac is good, I think we make that whole different.
Okay. So Oscar Isaac makes this moderately watchable.
We both finished the movie.
I didn't want to. I will say that. It was rough. It was a labor of love. And when I say labor of love, it was a labor of love to be able to have a comprehensive and coherent conversation about how absolutely fucking awful that this movie was on this podcast.
The one thing I will say, it's always nice to watch a bad movie just so you like enjoy the good movies. You know what I mean? Like to watch a really bad movie and be like, oh, okay. So if I watch like a movie that's like half decent, you're like, oh, I get that.
Windfall,
yeah.
Better or worse?
Windfall is better than this.
There was
the acting was better.
There was at least like, I really like the score in Windfall. I think that's the primary thing I said of when we did that review.
Yeah.
This movie, I'm getting Gordon Ramsay, was absolute donkey dick. Do you have any media recommendations?
Chuck Lewis from the 90s. It's just a really comprehensive book of the 90s. He looks at decades differently than, if you actually look at the numbers. He believes the 90s began when the Berlin Wall fell, and then it ends when 9/11 happens. and it's just because that makes sense. It's like there's certain things that kind of happen
Cultural
during
touchstones,
cultural touchstones, political touchstones, things like that. And he makes some really, really good points about a lot of different things, about the Clinton administration, about the 92 election, about
Metallica.
not about Metallica. Sorry, about Nirvana. I mean, he touched, like, if you've read Chuck Klosterman or if you listen to him on Bill Simmons, I've read every one of his books.
I've only read one.
I love all of his books. I think he's so smart. It's like he's one of these people that I would just love to just be in a conversation. If I could just be in a conversation with him, I've always looked at myself more of a Gen Xer than a millennial. I just have
really?
like,
no,
I
me.
I love the music from Gen X. Like I love that 90s rock. I mean, you look at, it's the only decade where I have rock music in our playlist so far, you know? And so a millennial is like, you fall into it a little bit, but we're both older millennials at the end of the day. So we're on that borderline. And this just kind of cut that thing for me where it's like, oh, I do care more about this stuff than I think I'm mostly a millennial because you're kind of forced into it because of our age, but not because of what we actually stand for and what we actually appreciate. What about you, Brendan?
Just real quick, Feeding the Dinosaur, I believe.
That's a great,
that was the one that that was the one.
Sex, Sugar, and Cocoa Puffs is, you know, his probably most famous one. And he has some
Feeding
novels
the Dinosaur,
and stuff.
I read, and it's really good. And
That's really good.
I really enjoy like some of the back and forth that he's had over the years with Simmons whenever they do like that, and then Gladwell too. I don't really have it. Like I don't really have a whole lot. I do have the Ninja Turtles game, and I played that the one night with Ty, who's just on the show, friend of the program, and it's great. Like as far as like the nostalgia piece, it's like, you know, you get all the classic villains. You get Krang, you get Rat King, you get Wingnut, you get Bebop and Rocksteady, you get Slash, you get Robo Turtle, you get
Robo Turtle,
Baxter Stockman, who's like one of my favorite Ninja Turtle bad guys. So it's just straight nostalgia. It's side scroller beat 'em up, just like Turtles in Time from the 1990s. It was an arcade, came to systems later at SNES. Super awesome game, but I don't really have anything aside from that. But that's actually not true. I've been listening to, since we did Barry's episode, shout out to Barry, I've been listening to a lot of the songs on our lists that were on like your list and Barry's list, Ty's list, and stuff like that. So go back and listen to those episodes and start listening to some of the music on those lists, and it's all 100% good stuff. But you can catch us on Fridays, 9 and Mondays, 9 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific. Nope, that's wrong. 4 a.m. 6 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Pacific. 4 a.m. Aloha.
Hawaii.
On podcast services around the globe, BXG social media, facebook.com/BXG podcast, Instagram @BXG podcast, Twitter @BXG podcast, and over on the YouTube channel where you can see trailer reactions such as The Most Dangerous Game starring Chris C.T. Tamburello.
Pepper your sauce.
Pepper my sauce.
So good.
Don't blow your knee out, kids. Take care, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Our father was a district attorney.